Single wide salute. I'm Lord Matre, the hip hop futurist. You're now tuned into the Super Longevity Institute podcast. Today, I have a special guest. He is a filmmaker, producer, and a writer. He directed The Transcendent Man, a documentary film about futurist and inventor Ray Kurzweil. At age 12, he worked with Stephen Spielberg on the set of E.T., the extraterrestrial, as an animal wrangler. Inspired by working with Spielberg, the next year he directed and produced his short film, The Holograph, which won first place in a regional arts festival. He attended USC School of Cinematic Arts and shortly after started a production company that produced TV commercial and show pilots. He directed the We Are the World for Haiti video, which premiered during the opening ceremonies for the 2010 Winter Games. With Quincy Jones and Lionel Richie. He assembled a panel discussion about the future for Transcendent Man live with Ray Kurzweil, with special appearances by Al Gore, Bill Maher, Quincy Jones, Deepak Chopra, Stevie Wonder, and Nicole Kaku. The event broadcast to 500 theaters nationwide as an event live from Lincoln Center in New York City in 2011. Ladies and gentlemen, hip-hop futurist, transhumanist worldwide, Mr. Barry Ptolemy. How you doing?
Thank you.
To the Institute.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. By the way, the last name is pronounced Ptolemy, so we just
Ptolemy.
We just don't. Yeah, we don't pronounce the P, and we just say Ptolemy.
Ptolemy. Okay. Yeah. Is that like the scientist? Are you
There
related
was
to
an
the
astronomer.
scientist?
There was a famous astronomer, Ptolemy, who was responsible for, a heliocentric theory of the sun being at the center of the universe and Earth revolving around, the Earth being at the center of the universe and the sun revolving around the sun. And then Copernicus came along, and of course, he did away with that. So.
Yes. How did you get into filmmaking? What really what was the drive to want to make films? Where did it come from?
I think timing is really critical in life, and at a really important age. I think it was 12 years old. I happened to find myself working for Stephen Spielberg, and it was also just the setting in the film. It was in the middle of the redwoods, and we would be there until 1 or 2 in the morning. And I remember the first time I saw the giant cranes, moonlight, coming down, and Steven's setting up a shot, and he finally says, "Okay, let's light up the heart light." And E.T.'s heart light comes on in the fog. And for a 12-year-old boy in the redwoods, it's like an out-of-body experience. I mean, that movie ended up being a really wonderful film, and I saw it later that year when it came out. And I'll never forget the feeling I had of such a transcendent feeling I couldn't put my finger on. And from that moment on, I just knew I wanted to make films and kind of create experiences that were transcendent for people.
Wow. Yeah, that's a hell of a way to start with Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
Yeah. Well, did you get to meet him? What was it like on the set?
Oh yeah. It was this is before Steven was a giant superstar. He was already a star in Hollywood terms, but he was really down to earth. He saw E.T. as kind of a smaller movie, a kind of a kids movie, family film maybe, and so it was a smaller type of get together with people. And I worked right alongside him often for day. I had lunch with Steven Spielberg, probably 3 or 4 times during that movie, because I was along with Henry Thomas, I was about his age, and so he just and the name of the movie at that time was called A Boy's Life. So it was I was kind of in the zone out there. I was a perfect person to be on that set. Wow. And he just was. I was like part of the family. Wow. And I didn't talk a lot with Steven, that's for sure. His mind was always elsewhere. Yeah. But I was literally 5 feet away from when he was directing for weeks on the set of E.T., which was shot on location in Crescent City, California. A lot of people don't know that. It was supposed to be the suburbs of a Los Angeles neighborhood, But to get those big trees in there, what he did is he took the crew, and we all went up to Crescent City, California, in the redwoods and shot up there.
Wow, that's a great experience. That's a priceless experience.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, it's true.
priceless
It's
to
true.
see him in action like that. I mean,
Yeah.
you probably gather a lot of information just watching him direct like that. That's
Well, it's
crazy.
it's very inspirational. And then you have, for a young person, you have someone that you can look to, who's like a mentor,
Yeah.
and it certainly is helpful in trying to pursue something in your life, for sure, no doubt about it.
Just give me 1 second. I'm just gonna fix something real quick. Uh, let's see. I just gotta. Okay. And one more thing before I continue. Just want to make sure the sound is coming. Oh yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. I gotta ask you this question. What was your first computer that you got?
My friend,
Yeah, what was the
my
first?
first was a Commodore VIC 20
Oh, okay.
in 1982,
Mhm.
and I used it. I love that computer. I can still remember the smell of that computer. But
Wow.
we started programming on it, me and my friends, and it only took me a few months before I ran out of room memory. So I
Yeah.
had got the Commodore 64,
Yeah. Remember
and then I've always gone to bigger and bigger computers from that, obviously, that computer, and so it does impart this kind of law of accelerating returns into your brain, even if it's just subconscious, that computers are getting more and more powerful right in front of your eyes. And I was only 12 years old when I had that computer. So, I think it does start to let you see that, wow, I mean, if just in 1 year, I'm gone from this one type of computer to a computer that's, much more powerful. Where is this going to end? Where are we going? And so even at a very early age, 13 or 14, I started having these kind of singularity kind of visions. And I made a film when I was just after ET, when I was 13. I made a film called The Holograph, which was kind of a metaphor for this future that I envisioned.
What was the holograph about?
No
Yeah.
one knows. The holograph was kind of like this metaphor for a way of living that is like the Matrix. So, there's this holographic nature in the universe and it's a scientific theory, actually, proposed by real physicists, where everything that we are touching, feeling, eating, using is actually a holographic projection
Yes.
of the universe.
Yeah.
And so my movie kind of just took a stab at that kind of reality.
Wow, that's pretty advanced. I mean, there was a book called The Holographic Universe. I used to sell it at East West Books. I forgot the author. I read so much. I forgot the author, but we used to sell his books. He passed away though, that author, and yeah, it's exactly what. Yeah. Actually, I put up his interview a few years ago because a brother of mine that I interviewed, Mr. Tom Royce, he interviewed this guy. I was amazed, and he had the
Wow.
interview of the gentleman who wrote The Holographic Universe. The author escapes me so long ago, but I
Sure.
posted it. I was amazed because I always wanted to meet him because I sold so many of his books at the bookstore. Do you ever see a time where we're gonna just have computer generated actors?
Computer generated actors. I mean, yes. I mean, it depends what you mean by yes. First of all, to answer your question, I think we'll have computer generated actors. I think we'll have AIs that will be human like and will reveal themselves to be human like. The humans might not like being replaced by the computers,
Right.
but that's already been going on for a long time, really.
Right.
So I think that Ray talks about 2029 as being a point where $1,000 laptop will be as intelligent emotionally as a human being, and I think we're on track to meet that. So I think by the end of this decade, yes, we'll have actors that are computers.
Oh wow, that would be amazing. Wow, wow. Um, what cameras did you shoot the holograph on? What cameras
Wait,
did
say
you
that
shoot?
again?
Do you remember the cameras you shot holograph on?
You know,
I'm always asking filmmakers.
this is before there were even cameras. You know, video cameras was around, and I was fortunate. I went to a middle school in Cave Junction, Oregon, called Lorna Byrne Middle School, and the art teacher, her name was Karen Jones, and she was the first person to ever put a camera in my hands. She just,
Wow.
I had come off of ET, and I had told her about it, and she literally put a camera in my hands and said, "Well, you need to go and do that. You need to make a movie." And so, with her help, I did. I made a little short movie that I was able to put into a festival. It won first place, and you know that does a lot for a boy's confidence.
Sure
And you're
does.
able to take something like that and run with it. And so then before you know it, you got the family and you got the village behind you. Oh, Barry's going to be a filmmaker, and off you go to film school and so on and so forth. So yeah, I agree that those early years can be really important for people.
Yeah, definitely. And it's always some great teacher behind everything. It's always some
Yeah.
good teacher, right? It's always some good teacher that's
It's
pushing us
true.
forward. How did you meet Ray Kurzweil? When did you first meet?
You know, my wife, who's a producer on the film with me, Transcendent Man, she was a producer already for NBC. She produced a lot of TV, a lot of independent films. And I had read the book, The Singularity is Near. I picked it up
Oh yeah.
from a review I read in, I think it was the LA Times. And I saw it across the room. And I saw the word singularity, and I just kind of gravitated towards this review. And then I saw that it was written by Gregory Benford, who I had studied under Gregory Benford. He's a science fiction author, but he taught at UCI, and I learned physics from him. And I just remember the guy. And so when I put the two together, and he gave us a review. Wasn't the greatest review in the world, but it was really intriguing. So I immediately told Felicia, I said, we've got to go to the bookstore, and I got to get this book. I mean, we went down there, and it was this giant tome of a book, about 700 pages. And I just said, I don't know if I want this book. So I put it back down, and I got this other book from Brian Greene or someone else, I don't remember. And I said, what about this book? It was a much thinner book. And, you know, to her credit, Felicia said, no, this is the book you came for. You came for this book. You take this book. So I bought The Singularity is Near, and went home, and I read the first chapter that night.
Wow.
And after that first chapter, you know, I looked over and I said, we've got to make a movie about this. This is the most amazing thing. My mind's never been so blown as it is right now. And so she read it too, and her mind was blown. And so we kind of set up we looked for a way that we could make a movie about the book or about the ideas. We were certainly inspired by the ideas, you know. So after a few months of kind of messing around with different ideas, actually Felicia was the first to reach out. She emailed Ray. He got right back. He agreed to meet us. He was going to be in San Francisco, and so we drove up there, and we met with him in the lobby of the Hilton there in San Francisco. And he immediately asked, you know, we gave him our pitch. He really took to us, you know, and I think there was just good chemistry. And within an hour or so, he said, let's do it. Let's make this movie. He had a speech right then. And so he invited us out into the back of his car in his limo, and he drove us right over to where his speech was. And we started making the movie within a few months from there.
Yeah, Ray is a good person. I like Ray a lot. I like what he's done and what he's doing. Preparing us for all these exponential technologies. It's great work he's doing. And the Transcendent Man was an excellent movie.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I love that movie. I watched it so many times. It definitely was inspiring.
That's great.
Do you consider yourself a singularitarian?
Sure. I mean, you know, it's, you know, usually when you put a IAN at the end of any kind of word, you kind of usually raise your eyebrows, and you're like, you know, what does that mean? What does that encompass? But a singularitarian really asks nothing of yourself other than to understand what it means to be a person living right today, I think. So I ascribe to Ray's philosophy. I think he's got the most put together philosophy of really any philosopher who's ever. I think first of all, Ray is known as being this computer scientist, this technologist, I really think he'll be famous for his philosophy.
Yeah.
And I think the Singularity is Near is a great work of philosophy. I put
Mm-hmm.
it I put it up there with the greats of all time.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I agree. Um, how long did it take to do this documentary? Because y'all was in a bunch of different countries. Y'all went ham. Y'all went
Yeah,
ham.
we well we decided we decided to follow Ray wherever he would go, and Ray does not sit still. He was on a book tour for the Singularity is Near, so we just started following him wherever he went, and that led to the most interesting conversations in the most interesting places. So we would go. He had to speak down in Sao Paulo, let's say in Brazil, and so we went down there, and or he would go to Milan, or he would go to London, or he would go to China, wherever it was. And so we would just faithfully kind of go along, and then as we did that, kind of the iris of this world opened up to us, and we started making networking and making more and more contacts with people that were in this community, or maybe they were in the transhumanist community, or maybe they were in just technology communities. And so we started interviewing them as we went along, and kind of built this narrative and the story about what it means to be a human living right now.
Wow, I remember that day. I went. You invited me to go see the Transcendent Man, the premiere, and I took Shirt King Fade, the person that painted this room. He's famous also. He was blown away. He's a famous graffiti artist. He was blown away. We were both blown away. We looked at each other like, "Whoa, what the hell did we just see?" Like, what the hell? I was like,
well, that makes me very happy.
That
that makes me happy because as a filmmaker, what you want more than anything is to blow someone away. You know what I mean? Like if you've blown someone away, then you really feel like it was worth it.
I was like, oh man, I was talking to Fade for so long after that on the phone. I was like, oh Fade, things about to change, man. Ray, and then we met Ray, and Ray said, we met Amy Kurzweil. I was just like, wow. And Ray was so down to earth. He said, Madrid, man, you should rap about this stuff. I said, yeah. I said, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I bought all the studio equipment. I didn't even know how to work it. I didn't even know how to work any of it. I knew nothing about producing. I said that, you know what? I felt like this message was so important that I was gonna give it a try. You know that Ray Kurzweil is gonna do another book called, I think it's called The Singularity is Nearer.
That's right. Yeah.
I hope your guys work again and do something else. I would love to see some more stuff on what he's working on now, because I know that he's even doing more stuff. I know he worked as a chief engineer for Google now, and so I know that he's working on. He doesn't stop working. So I know that there's more stuff that can be shown, either in documentary format or however y'all think is fit. Do you think y'all will work again in the future?
Well, I can't say too much, but we do work together. We are partners on media projects. Transcendent Man, is a miracle just to even exist. I mean, movies are very, very difficult to make. You have to have the right idea at the right place at the right time, with the right people, and so, and then lightning strikes, and you're like, that happens, then you've got yourself a movie. But so we are putting together, we do work together on projects, and we're looking for lightning to strike again, and so that's what we've been doing together.
I understand. How long did it take for you to do the movie, and what were some of the challenges that you had in even executing a movie like that?
I mean, you're fighting multiple wars on many fronts, because the movie took about 2 years to make. We started in May 2007, and we finished in about February of 2009. We posted for 2 years as well in that period, and then we made our debut originally at the Tribeca Film Festival. And then while we were getting distribution together, so that's why the movie didn't come out till February 3rd, 2011, which is when you saw it at the Time Life building in New York City. That was the film's actual debut. So the challenges are multiple, because you have all the responsibilities of a business, payroll, all these things, but then you also have to make a work of art at the same time. And we knew we were inspired. We had this great idea, but when we started filming in May 2007, I had no idea what the film would look like. I had no idea what we would uncover. I didn't know the direction, the trajectory, how I was going to even augur the subject. I didn't know how to even start talking about it. But I knew that Ray was fascinating, and I knew that just listening to him talk to other people was fascinating. So I knew we had that. Once I kind of found the conflict, and I was able. Well, the big I think obstacle that was overcame was we were in D.C. at the Lincoln Memorial, just getting some good B-roll for Ray, and I asked him on the mic. I asked him about his father who had died, and we started talking about his dad. And I said, well, you talk about people living on indefinitely, and you talk about even bringing dead people back and all these things in different ways. And do you think we could go visit your dad's grave? And Ray was kind of taken back, and he was kind of shocked, but he agreed. And I knew right then at that Lincoln Memorial that in that moment that I had a movie, because I would have a father-son story. And that's what the film ended up becoming was this father-son story, which is a kind of a vehicle that allows us to then talk about the singularity and all of Ray's ideas. But ultimately, the actual story is a story of Ray losing his father and Ray's own desire to live indefinitely.
I really connected with that part because at that time I just found out that my father had Parkinson's. So that was another thing that blew me away. At that time, I didn't know they were trying to keep it from me. That no one really knew what was going on with him, and then I found out. So that really blew me away. And I can remember seeing the movie where he had all of this photos and just letters and stuff compiled of his father because he wanted to bring him back in AI and
Right.
digitally. And I was like, wow, that's brilliant. I said, that's an ill idea. I said, wow. I said, Ray is no joke. That's all I kept thinking in my mind. I said, that's a scary idea to some, but not to me. And
Yeah,
so,
right.
and I was like, that to me, I was like, yo, to me, I said, I understand where he's coming from. And I really connected with that part. That was brilliant. And I don't know if you've seen the Transhumanist Wager, but there's another gentleman named Zoltan Istvan, and his father died, and he showed it on camera also. I know he must have seen the Transcendent Man and got some inspiration and said, you know what, I'm going to propel people. I'm going to give you a piece of my life that's usually closed off to people, and I'm going to connect with you by showing you what happened to my father. In the film you see he goes to the funeral, the wake, so it's really revealing his raw emotions, and that's the type of film that gets people motivated and inspired to me. So yeah, I don't. If you haven't seen the Transhumanist Wager, I definitely suggest you. The documentary. No, I'm sorry, Immortality or Bust. I'm sorry, I'm getting confused. The book is called Transhumanist Wager, which is a science fiction book. The documentary is called Immortality or Bust. I think you should definitely watch it. Yes, sorry about that. Oh yeah, I gotta ask you that. Are you ever planning on doing a science fiction movie? I guess I gotta start there.
I'm in work. Science fiction is my first love, and I love it more than anything. It's hard because science fiction usually requires a big budget generally, and so again it's that kind of catching lightning in a bottle type of scenario. So Ray and I have been working on some different science fiction ideas. We've worked out a few. With that, I can't really, obviously I can't, it's hard to talk about, but yeah, I'd like to blow people away again with a science fiction movie, or TV show, limited TV show. That's my day job. That's what I do during, every day. And, so with any luck, we'll do that.
Yeah. That would be dope. I would definitely hope we're promoting that, and I would definitely like to see that. And I hope if that happens, please come back here and tell us about it, please.
Okay, sounds good.
So We Are the World, Haiti. How did you get involved with that project?
They needed a director. I was that was right after Transcendent Man broke, and boy, I'll tell you, you talk about being in the whirlwind. That was an enormous amount of press that came from that film.
Yeah.
We got the cover story of Time magazine.
Yeah.
The week the film came out. And from there, I mean, we were on, every network, CNN or Fox, or, Ray and I went on Charlie Rose to talk about it. And
I love
we
Charlie
just
Rose.
got, yeah, we just got every newspaper in the world was knocking on her. And before you knew it, every studio was calling, Oprah was calling everyone, because Steven Spielberg wanted to see the film. Everyone had the White House, the Obama White House wanted to see the
Wow.
film. So it was like being, the center of the storm. And so, what was your question? What was the original question?
How did you get involved with the
Oh,
project Way of
yeah,
the World, Haiti?
right. So that
Hmm.
project, which was, I think was it was just an agency project. It was actually a Visa commercial, believe it or not. Visa was
Mm.
a sponsor. They didn't, what their name wasn't big in the commercial, but they wanted to introduce the 2010 Winter Olympics. And I had known Quincy Jones from Transcendent Man. We interviewed him because Quincy is actually a big transhumanist, and
Yeah.
he's a big
Thank you for saying that.
singularitarian guy. Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. All right, go ahead. I'm
so
sorry.
so no, that's okay. So
Yeah.
Quincy and Lionel Richie were going to be the spokespersons for this, help Haiti relief,
Hmm.
to introduce the 2010 Winter Olympics. And for whatever reason, Quincy said, "Well, I know this director. He just directed Transcendent Man, and he recommended me." And so Visa hired me. The agency hired me as the director, and we shot it at the I think it was a Four Seasons hotel in a hotel room. And we created a little studio right there in West LA, and we shot it one day.
Wow. I seen that. I remember it. I was like, wow, this is crazy. And did you raise some funds for Haiti through this
Oh yeah. No, they had a whole
endeavor?
campaign that raised, millions of dollars. I can't remember.
Wow.
That was a while ago, and I can't remember the exact
No, it's
amount,
okay.
but a whole bunch of money was raised for sure.
Yeah, I love when the arts get behind causes like this. It just lights
Mm-hmm.
me up because I think that's
Sure.
what some of the things we're supposed to be doing with our art form. We're supposed to be, highlighting problems and using our art to help with the situation. I think that's the best way to use our art form, whatever it may be. You know,
Sure.
I was like, wow. Um, and I did see Quincy Jones. See, two things that really lit me up. When Stevie Wonder said Ray Kurzweil is like a prophet, anything that Stevie Wonder says, I, there's no debate about it. there's no, I'm not debating. I'm not okay, Stevie. That's how you feel. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
So and another thing that struck me when I went to go see the premiere with the Transcendent Man, as I seen a lot of the blind brothers and sisters come in and sit down.
Yeah.
That blew me away. I said, "Yo, Faye, you see this? This is incredible." I just was like, "Yo, I was blown away." So I knew I knew Ray Kurzweil had an impact on these people because of his one of his inventions, right?
That's right. That's
What, what,
right.
so I was
So back in the 70s already, he created a text to speech synthesizer, about the size of probably, like a copy machine.
yeah.
And he in the news ran a story on it, and somehow Stevie caught wind of this. He watched that morning. I think it was on Today, and he saw that program, and he called up Ray, and he said, "I got to get this thing." And it was Stevie Wonder, so Ray couldn't say no. But
Yeah.
he was like, I only have the one machine." But Stevie somehow came down and took that one machine off of him, and Ray gave it and said, "I'll make another one." And of course he did, and that kind of got his business going. And he's created smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller text-to-speech synthesizers until he sold the technology eventually to a company that was bought by Apple. But it's
Yeah.
it's basically the same technology that's in your phone today that reads the text.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And then I seen Quincy Jones speak about him also, and that blew my mind. And then I don't know where Quincy Jones was speaking. It might have been the Grammys or somewhere. And he said, "You better realize that nanotechnology is going to be the most powerful technology." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." He's on the pulse. He knows what's going on. I was
Yeah.
so happy about that. And just for him to speak about it, nanotechnology, exponential technology was very important. Um,
Yeah, Quincy's into that stuff very much. He's
yeah,
very passionate about it. And if you visit him at his house, he's a funny guy. He's really proud of what he's accomplished, and he really will talk your ear off. But one of the things that he's most excited about is exponential technologies, accelerating technologies. He will just sit you down and talk to you about that for hours.
wow, wow. Another person who I seen come up from the beginning is Jason Silva. You work with him, right?
Oh yeah, sure. Jason and I are good friends.
Yeah. I remember seeing that one film when he first came out. It was damn. I don't know. It might have been with Jack Fresco about what Jack Fresco was doing, and then it was one on death,
Oh
if I'm
yeah,
not
yes, yes,
mistaken.
yes.
That one
Right,
blew up.
sure.
That one blew him up, and I was like, "Damn, Jason Silver's dropping it." This was years ago. I'm telling you, I've been around. I've been paying attention a long time, and I was just like,
Yeah,
"Wow, he's dropping it." I was like, "This is a young fella. He's
right.
dropping it about death and
Yeah, because
investments
he
and all that."
studied philosophy. I think he went
Yeah,
to
yeah,
he came up from Venezuela and he studied
yes,
philosophy at Miami University, I
hmm
think,
yeah. He did. It's Miami.
and University of Miami.
hmm
And then I think it was the denial of death is what you're talking about. Is
I
that
think
right?
that was yeah. Think if I'm not
So his
mistaken,
big
yes.
yeah. So he got turned on by some of those writers and he Jason is another really passionate guy
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we hang out a lot. But when that movie came out, we didn't have any screeners available. We were told by our agents, do not send out a screener, do not let anyone see this film. And Jason kept on bugging me, and he said, "Listen, I didn't even know the guy." And he said, "Listen, I gotta watch this film. I gotta watch the film." I said, "Listen, I can't, I can't lend out copies of this film." He finally bugged me so many times. I said, "Here's the screener," and then he had to come over. We had to talk about it, and he just wouldn't let me
Mm,
alone. He had to see the early version of the film, and so he did. But we formed a great relationship after it. We did a show together,
yeah.
actually called "The Future of Us"
Yes, that's what
for
it was.
AOL,
Yes.
and which was seen by millions of people, and that was
Yeah.
really a fun show to work on with him. But yeah, we have a good time when we get together for sure.
Yeah, he's a great speaker. You could feel the passion coming off from when he speaks too. There's no coincidence why he's where he's at because he's
Yeah.
extremely a good orator. He's very passionate about what he does.
Yes, it is.
I was watching the Future of Us the other day, and I was like, wow, look at him. He's just so. And I've seen him before personally on stage, and I was
Sure.
blown away. So, shout outs to Jason Silver. Um, have you heard of the Timeship Project?
The Township Project,
The Timeship Project.
Timeship. Uh, I know. I don't think I have. There's so many projects that I'm not familiar with that
Yeah.
are relevant. But yeah.
No, it's okay because it's not really. It's like underneath the radar, really. But
Okay.
it's supposed to be the largest structure dedicated to life extension. But I'll send you something May 1st, and you can see it. It's incredible. Because we're gonna do a cover story on it soon.
Okay.
You'll see it. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
What other futurists are you interested in documenting?
What
Doing
other
anything?
future? You mean?
Yeah.
What was your question?
Any other futurists you wanna
Any other futures?
like
Well,
you're really
certainly,
interested in?
my early when I was a boy, it was probably I think Carl Sagan had that show Cosmos
Oh yeah,
that came out
that
on
was big.
PBS in
Yeah.
1980, and my dad made me sit down every Tuesday evening on PBS and watch that,
Hmm.
and that show was also instrumental. And Carl Sagan's been someone who's been with me my whole life, and someone I look to as someone who's really got his head on straight.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, the writer, the author, Arthur C. Clarke,
Oh yeah.
obviously was a monumental, a futurist and writer,
Yeah,
along with Stanley
definitely.
Kubrick,
He's the
for 2001: A Space Odyssey. So, I mean, there's certainly more, but those are them. I mean, Ray, I think Ray certainly got the most accurate portrayal of what the future is going to be.
yeah.
So nowadays, I really do look to Ray. I do think he's got the best fit for where we're at.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. He's on point. What about Martine Rothblake? Have you heard of her? She's doing some
Oh,
great
sure,
work
yeah,
at
I know.
United Therapeutics.
Absolutely, I know Martine, and
Yeah.
it's a small community actually. You
Mm,
end up finding out, but no, she and obviously she's been incredibly successful
yeah.
and is doing some great breakthroughs in biotechnology, and then she's going to be around in this field for a long time as well.
Yeah, cause she has a pig farm, if I'm not mistaken. She's really I think she's gonna be the first one of the first people to be able to regrow the lungs from your own stem cells. I think she's gonna be the first person. She's actually
Yeah,
working on
yeah,
that really hard. And
yeah. She's doing
yeah,
exciting stuff for sure.
yeah, yeah. Um, let me see. That discussion panel, man. How did you get that discussion panel was amazing. Like all of those people, you don't really see too many like all those people at once like getting involved in a discussion panel about the future. I mean, that
Yeah.
was a really big thing because you don't really we don't get that type of talk publicly from people discussing all these future. I mean, actually, that's the first time I've seen that with all these prominent people from different fields talking about the future of technology in a panel like that. Nah,
Yeah.
you don't get that too much, you know.
Yeah.
So
No, it's true. I think a lot of, we
go
wanted
ahead.
to do exactly what you're suggesting is like just kind of talk about the future, and just let it rip and see what happens. And we didn't even know what would come from it. We rented out the Lincoln Center in New York, and we invited all these people. And at that time, we were still in the wake of the film had just come out, and everyone we asked wanted to participate, whether it was Al Gore or whoever it might be, Bill Maher or Quincy Jones or Elon Musk. Was he's a singularitarian and into these ideas as well. And so, yeah, we didn't have any problem. Wozniak, Steve Wozniak was wanted to be a part of it. And then we wanted to try to diversify as much as we could, and get people like Deepak Chopra and others to even contribute some of their ideas as well. And we just wanted to put together, kind of a juicy panel, and hopefully we did.
I was surprised Deepak Chopra was there because he's like really a metaphysician.
Mm-hmm.
He leans more towards a metaphysical,
Sure.
way. So when I seen Deepak Chopra, I said, "Wow, Deepak Chopra's on this too. This is gonna be
Yeah.
an interesting discussion, man."
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
what was you directed and produced a film called Catch? What was that about?
That was one of my calling card. It was really nothing. It was just a short film about an urban legend about a guy who goes out fishing,
Hmm.
and he finds in the waters off of the coast, he finds this dog in the water, and so he saves the dog's life and he brings it home, and he has to go to work that later on that evening. So he goes to work and leaves the dog, and he comes back home, and the cat's gone. He can't find the cat, and the dog's really sick. So he takes the dog and he takes it down to the vet, and he's waiting. And the vet comes out, and the vet finally tells him, "Sorry to tell you, but your dog is dead." And not only that, but your dog was an African rat, and it ate your cat. And so,
Oh.
so that was the inspiration behind the catch. It was just an urban legend, and we turned it into a little short film as a calling card, and it was a lot of fun to make.
Um, interesting. Let me ask you. Did I get everything in? What was all right? So I'm looking at this cover of the Transcendent Man, and only
Yeah.
half of Ray's face is showing, with just his eyes showing. What was the science behind that cover? If you don't mind me asking, like, what was the?
It's funny because I actually took that picture of Ray that
Uh,
you have up there, and then we doctored it up a little bit, and we put the earth in his eye and his glasses and stuff. But it was just, it was hard to come up with a cover for the
mm,
documentary because there's all these great ideas, but at the end of the day, we just stayed close to the man Ray, and this was going to be a
interesting.
kind of a movie about his life and ideas. So we ended up ultimately showing his face, like if we were making a movie about Einstein or anybody else who was
Right.
who was of that note. So yeah, we just went with his face because it is interesting. I think about human faces all the time because if you watch a documentary a lot of times on TV and they'll talk, it could be Abraham Lincoln, it could be whoever it is, and they'll keep referencing a person's face and they'll show a shot of a person's face. It could be a black and white picture, it could be whatever it
Mm,
is. But there's nothing, the human face is still the high bar in terms of what we look to. That's something that's interesting that we want to see. We don't put, for us, we don't put up like a picture of wallpaper. We actually want to see each other and talk to each other because there's so much information being exchanged between two people just physically. So, yeah, we just decided to use his face.
um. Wow. So, where can people see the Transcendent Man still? If
It's
they want to
still
go check it out.
available all over. I mean, you can go. It's not on. It goes on and off Netflix, but you can go to iTunes and rent it on iTunes on Apple TV.
Okay.
It's available on Google, or it's available on Amazon. So if you have an Amazon Prime account, or even if you don't have a Prime account, you can go to Amazon. You can rent it directly off their streaming site.
Mm,
Every once in a while, it'll come back to Netflix, and so you can watch it for free on Netflix. But you can
mm.
also buy it like on iTunes if you want to purchase it. So, but the best version, the 4K version, I recommend is on iTunes, and that's the best version to watch it. I think.
Yeah, if you have the money, I suggest
Yeah.
going to get it. The 4K version on iTunes,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that everybody, all the hip-hoppers that's following me on Super Longevity Institute, I think that if you're interested in the exponential technologies like nanotechnology, just you want to know where
Yeah.
AI is going, and you want to know the people you want to know the person that's on the pulse of all this stuff and makes
Yeah.
accurate predictions based on the data. I suggest that for your homework, go check out the Transcendent Man. You will definitely, your mind will be blown just like I have. I want to thank Mr. Barry Ptolemy. Did I say it right?
You did. That's
Go
it.
ahead.
Ptolemy.
Ptolemy.
Yeah.
I want to thank Barry Ptolemy for one inviting me for the premiere and changing my life after seeing Transcendent Man. I want to thank him personally, and I want to thank him for taking his time, his busy time, taking time out of his busy schedule to stopping by the institute. I really appreciate it. Hopefully he'll come back because I know the brother's gonna do some amazing stuff in the future, and hopefully he'll come back and tell us more.
Well, that sounds like a great thing, and thank you, Matria, for being a light of these ideas, getting these ideas out there as well.
Thank you. We out. Peace and love, everyone.
Take care. Thank you. Bye bye.